God, I offer myself to thee, to build with me and to do with me as thy will. Relieve me of the bondage of self, so that I may better do thy will. Take away my difficulties, so that victory over them may bear witness to those I would help. With thy power, thy love, and thy way of life, may I do thy will always. Amen. My name is Joey, and this is the Gandee Show. A place for stories, connection, and a reminder that recovery is possible. Today, I got just something incredible, and I am so excited to share it with you guys. So let's just get right into it. The title of this submission is called Success is Not Shameful. Can I bring to everyone's attention to an elephant in the room? The elephant has been hanging out for some time. It may be mentioned in passing, but most ignore its presence until something happens to demand its attention. The elephant I am referring to is the feeling of shame over achieving success, especially those of us who have risen up from the ashes to find their way. I have risen up from the ashes. God literally came and got me out of the dirt. When I was totally against God, He came and got me out of the dirt. I want to be clear that I am not defining success as material objects. Success to me is being genuinely happy no matter what your situation may be. In the Bible, it talks about, I have unlocked the keys to be content in every situation. And to me, that means perspective. So when I read this, it makes me think of how your perspective can change your life. You know, life is not happening to me. I'm not a victim. I do not have to be a victim. I can look at my part in things today, and that has allowed me to change my perspective, and therefore my life has changed. Happiness must come before the objects, otherwise it is not sustainable. The only reason we ever want what it is that we want is because we think it will make us happy. We have it so backwards. Feeling good regardless of what we have or don't have is truly the secret to happiness. That makes me think of, if I can't be faithful with little, how could I ever steward something great, right? Like, if I'm not happy right now with what I got, how is obtaining more things that I don't have gonna make me happy? Right now, I can say that doesn't make any sense, but, you know, it's been a long journey, right? I've bought the lie that society sold me my whole life. So I always thought, oh, if I could just get this, then I'll be happy. And I've done that. I've had stages with that where, like, I'll get obsessed with buying clothes, and it stems from trauma because, like, when I went to jail, by the time I got arrested, I had nothing left, barely even the clothes on my back. And then when I went into rehab, I didn't have a shred of my own clothing. Everything that I had prior to getting arrested was gone. So I remember when I was for the first year of my sobriety, I didn't have any of my own clothes. The only clothes that I had to wear were clothes that were generously donated to me. So I remember thinking, like, it's so funny how our goals change, because I remember wanting a pair of shoes so bad. I could not wait to have my own pair of shoes that I picked out. Because the shoes that I went into rehab and to jail with, I done walked holes in them, and they weren't even mine to begin with. Like, I remember thinking to myself, like, I want to burn these shoes when I have the opportunity to, because it was like a part of my old life was dying. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I remember I've gone through phases with this. It'll be shoes or clothes, and then, I'll get the thing and it feels good for a minute, but it wears off quickly. Feeling good, regardless of what we have or don't have, is truly the secret to happiness. The bonus is that if we can feel good most of the time without needing a reason to feel good, feeling good just to feel good, then the things we do want will fall into place. When we don't rely on the conditions for our personal happiness, then these items are no longer a limiting factor in our success. Man, is that good. That is like, man, I feel like that's so good. I just can't even fully wrap my head around it right now. So now that I have provided my definition of what success means, I want to tell a story. Awesome. I was driving down the freeway recently in my beautiful car. I love driving my car. It is like meditation for me. It's a manual shift. I know what I am doing to get the most out of its abilities, and the music flows so seamlessly. I have fun. I had a moment of reflection over how I got to a point in my life where I could have that exact moment in my car, windows down, hair blowing, music up. Man, I remember when I used to see people driving in their fancy cars, and I would think to myself, one day I will have a car like that. It wasn't a resentful form of thinking. I was inspired. I wasn't angry at them or spiteful because they were financially stable. I've never understood envy. I do not understand envy. I think that I believe one of my most redeeming qualities is that I am able to be genuinely happy when other people have success. I just don't understand envy. I wasn't angry at them or spiteful because they were financially stable to afford such a thing. I wasn't disgusted with them for wanting to have such a luxurious material thing. I had an understanding. I understood that their story was their story. Whatever brought them to sitting in their car at that moment was their business as well as their reason for wanting it. There's a common misconception that people want material things to show off. I don't doubt that it is true for some people, but that just reverts back to the whole idea that deep down it's because they believe that is what is going to make them happy. Man, I also didn't tell myself back then that having something like that would never happen. It is so important how we talk to ourselves. Probably the most important. It is the most important how we talk to ourselves. Do not let other people set their expectations on you. That is a decision I made. I want to say 2 years ago, but if I'm being realistic, I really locked into that this year. Over the past year, I made a decision that no matter what, I will never let somebody set their expectations on me. And that's a powerful place to be. I was absolutely resolved in the idea that I will accomplish that one day. It was never really about the object itself. I did have two reasons for this. One being that, like most people, I thought this is what would make me happy. And the second reason being, it was just simply something I enjoyed about life. Fast forward to when I was taking ownership of my current vehicle. At this time, I was working in a low poverty community. My husband expressed concerns of how it may appear to the community I served. I'm going to pause right there. I have learned how important it is to be in service of others. And I'm going to speak to the men right now. As a man, we were put here to be a provider, a protector, and a role model. That is biologically, that is in our makeup. It is to be a provider, a protector, and a role model. And I can speak for myself only, but when I was in active addiction, I was the opposite of a provider, a protector, and a role model. I was a parasite. I was a parasite. I contributed nothing to society. I was a parasite, just taking everything that I could. Everything was about me. I was the center of the universe. I believed that I could manipulate the weather if it impeded on what I was trying to do. That's how ridiculously out of control my ego was. But I want to go back to this, the community. She said the community that I served. I think that that is what life is about. And as you come into a relationship with God, your purpose will be revealed to you. And I think that, like, for me, I'm only speaking for myself. The community that I serve are the people that are watching my videos. The community that I serve are people who struggle with addiction and alcoholism, mental health, purpose. My goal is to be completely transparent on here and vulnerable. I'm in the process of discovering my faith, and I'm documenting it. I want to know what the truth is, because if you're not anchored in some kind of truth, you're like a dandelion blowing in the wind. My husband expressed concerns of how it may appear to the community I serve to be driving this type of car. I did have a fleeting thought that it could be off-putting or cause some resentments amongst my peers, but I quickly disregarded this. I responded that I want to drive into that community with a car like this, not to flaunt, brag, or boast. There's a huge difference between flaunting and inspiring. I believe the difference is humility. Humility is the opposite of my ego. And I agree. There is a huge difference between flaunting and inspiring. And I didn't always know that. It took me 36 years to understand that. I came to a realization that it is all about how this is presented. I am a very humble person. Anyone who knows me is aware of this, but I do not feel the need to justify myself on this. As I am reflecting on this conversation, I concluded that despite this being a material object, it still contributes to the example I stand for. What is it that I stand for? That's what I'm trying to understand. I am trying to understand, what is it that I stand for? Because how can I be a provider, a protector, and a role model if I don't even know what I stand for? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And that goes back to my faith journey. I look for evidence. I'm skeptical. It's in my nature to be skeptical. I started out this journey with my faith, looking for evidence, essentially, basically trying to disprove God and Christianity and Jesus Christ. And as far as where I'm at right now, I have not found one thing in the Bible. I have not found one principle from the Bible that, had you applied it to your life would not get exponentially better. That's just where I'm at right now. I'm not claiming to know more or less than anybody. I am just being transparent with what I've come to understand. My lived experiences have become a beacon of hope for others who are currently struggling with challenges not so much different than the ones I have overcome. I am grateful that I'm an alcoholic, because God takes all things that are bad and uses them for good. Who would have ever thought that I could say, I am grateful to be an alcoholic? God, I've done some terrible things, and a lot of things that I do regret, and things that I look forward to making amends for in my life. The longer I stay sober, the more I'll have opportunities to be able to do that. But, you know, things happened exactly the way they had to happen for me to be right where I'm at right now, and I would not trade where I'm at right now for anything. You know, if by me telling my story and sharing my story, my goal is to help somebody else not have to go through what I went through. So if my story can be used to inspire somebody else, then oh my gosh, my heart is full. But this is incredible. I really appreciate this. My lived experiences have become a beacon of hope for others who are currently struggling with challenges not so much different than the ones I have overcome. The tangible objects do not define this, but they emphasize it. So when I am riding up in my car, I do not feel a power dynamic. My energy isn't giving off a vibe that says, oh, look at me. No, it's more like, look at what you can be. do, and have, because if I can do it, so can you. I am nothing and no one special. If God did it for me, I know he'll do it for you. This is incredible. Look at what you can be, do, and have, because if I can do it, so can you. Oh my gosh. That is exactly what I am trying to convey with my channel and my message. And when I open my mouth, that is exactly what I hope to inspire in other people. Because if I can do it, surely you can do it. I had no plans. I did not plan on being alive right now. God had a bigger plan for me than my pea brain could have ever had for itself. There is no reason why I am more worthy of success than any other person. I have been able to use this object as a point of focus. It allows me to share my story behind it in hopes to inspire through the clarity of my example. That is just incredible. Materialism does not have to be a negative thing. We shouldn't and do not have to condemn others for what we view as their success. Rather than feeling resentment, we can turn that resentment into feeling inspired. That is awesome. That goes back to like me not understanding envy, because like, why be envious when you can be inspired? I don't know. It's important to remember that just because someone has nice things does not imply they're happy. That's very, very true. Um, that's very true. And that's also something, you hear that, money doesn't buy happiness, but until you are truly at peace within yourself, regardless of your circumstances, that statement doesn't really make sense, because you think, again, you know, I grew up listening to rap music and idolizing money and drugs and multiple girlfriends and stuff. And that is like just the opposite of what is actually cool. We have to do that ourselves. We must be happy first. Money really does not buy happiness. Money can solve a lot of problems as well as create more of them. People can have nothing in the tangible sense and still be more happy than those who have everything. The illusion is believing that someone who has riches and material things to show for it does have everything, when really you only ever have everything when you are truly happy just to be happy. The solving of problems and feeling good isn't an outside job, it's an inside job. The answers we seek have been within us this entire time. I fell for the lie society told me my entire life. It's here. It's right here. It's here. You got to line up, plug in. Because there's only one way to fill that void that we all have, that I had, that I tried to fill with drugs and alcohol and sex and anything that I could to get outside of myself, anything I could to get away from myself. It's synthetic and it's false. It's evil. It's insidious. It's a lie. There's only one way to fill that void, and it's come into a relationship. You can call it whatever you want. I know God, that word, it's off-putting to a lot of people, but something created you. Something created you, and that something created you with a purpose. Because if this inanimate object, this table, has a purpose, you better believe you have a purpose. So the only way to fill that void is to line up with whatever that something is and become in service to others. Because only living for yourself, it leads to emptiness. There's nothing sustainable about that. The point I really want to drive home, no pun intended, is there is no reason to feel shameful over what you have achieved, whether it's material or not. When I had my moment of reflection on my recent joyride, it occurred to me that stigma can be a dual issue. There is no denying that there is stigma around people who appear successful due to their external appearance. But just like with anything else, such as addiction, we do not know their story. We do not know how they got there. Empathy, empathy. The biggest example I can give of this is, I spent the majority of my 20s being so angry at my mother because I could not understand how she was such an incredible mother to me, but she completely abandoned my brother. And it wasn't until I experienced an opiate addiction for myself were I then able to understand what she was actually going through and what she's still going through today. So, Mom, if you ever see these videos that I'm making, I love you. I forgive you. I hope one day Jesse can forgive you for himself, not even for you, but for him. And I hope, more importantly, that you can forgive yourself, because I forgive you and I love you. And I just want you to be okay, dude. We do not know how they got there, and even though they may have expensive things, it does not make them happy. It also doesn't make them arrogant. On the other hand, we should never feel shame over where we are in life because others are not there yet. What we should do is own it, be proud of what we have accomplished, and be humbly proud in a way that makes others inspired and want to come to where you are. That is awesome. That is awesome. We don't want to make others feel inferior because we are on a different path or phase in our lives, as much as we don't want to instigate guilt out of those who are going in the direction of where they want to be. Man. So, to sum it up for both sides of the equation, there is no need to feel shame or guilt over following your bliss and making things happen, just as much as there is no need to feel inferior or resentful towards those who have. We all have something to teach and we all have something to learn from one another. We just have to allow ourselves to see it that way. An open mind, an open heart. Right now, I'm going to hold myself accountable and be transparent. And I'm going to tell you what I'm struggling with right now. I'm currently struggling with being judgmental. I've spoke about it on my TikTok and in my YouTube shorts. I've spoke about it, more recently, and it's just something that I'm struggling with right now, and I don't understand why, because I don't want to judge people. Um, I have no right to judge people. I am a recovering heroin addict. A little over 2 years ago, I was homeless and shooting heroin and living in a tent and stealing and lying. Who am I to ever judge anybody? But I find myself mostly at work doing it, and not out loud, but I'm talking to myself in my head. And like, it's like everyone I look at, like, and I prayed about it and I pray about it. And I asked God, like, please take this from me because I don't want it. It does not serve me at all. It serves me nothing to judge another human. Everything that we do in this life requires energy. And that's not where I want my energy to go. I have no right to judge anyone. I want to thank you for watching, and thank you for 147 subscribers. Oh my gosh. I know that YouTube subscribers are hard earned, and what an amazing thing. Thank you. Thank you for this is helping me stay sober. So everyone that's watching these videos, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. This is helping me stay sober. This is helping me walk in my purpose. This is what I believe. I believe God preserved me through heroin addiction so that I can do this right here. So that I can tell everyone who wants to listen my story and hopefully be inspired to do something great. And if I can do this, everyone can do this. If I can do this, everyone can do this. Somebody that's very close to my heart one time told me, Joey, you can do anything. All you got to do is not get high and be yourself. And he was right. If I could do this, you can do this. If you have something to share, please email us at thegandeeshow@gmail.com. I would be honored to share anything that you want to talk about and just do this right here. Talk about how I relate to it and learn more about myself, and maybe I can help somebody else learn more about themselves in the process. And remember this, the answers we seek have been within us the entire time. It's not an outside job, it's an inside job. No one told you today they love you. I love you. I'm out.